Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for September the 3rd, 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, here with, of course, with always,
CJ Carter, or at least you'll have to take my word for it that I'm CJ Carter, because I am without camera again tonight. I'm still unpacking my stuff, and I'm... all my bags have basically been pushed in front of my set, and I'm just gonna deal with that another day because it's NXT tonight.
It is. You know, nothing stops the flow of NXT.
I mean, that's why I missed No Mercy, because it just didn't stop.
It never stops. But CJ, you're back home safe and sound, and we're ready to talk some NXT. A lot happened tonight on tonight's show as we pivot towards Halloween Havoc. But before we can get into tonight's proceedings, I of course have to give that shout out to our partner on the interwebs, comicbookclick.com. That of course is comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio for all of your professional wrestling, entertainment, pop culture, and comic book needs. Check it out, make it your homepage, look at it multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love to do it. And while you're over there, check out our sponsor, NordVPN, where if you sign up for one full year of NordVPN service, you can get 72% off of that first month. Sign up, one full year, never let them know where you're coming from on the internet. NordVPN, check it out after the show.
Before we jump into the show tonight, though, I did...
Oh, you are muted, CJ.
Yeah, my mic's acting up. I don't know if it might have got damaged in travel, but I've been having problems with it all day.
Yeah, man, I'm losing you, man. It sounds like you're underwater.
The joys of live television. How are we doing?
There we are.
Okay.
There we are.
So now that I finally figured out, hopefully, my technical difficulties, knock on wood, whatever. I was thinking earlier in the show about how much they are able to fit in a 2-hour show and still have it feel fresh and moving and not like it doesn't feel like a 2-hour show, but it's not like it feels like a 9-hour show, like it's not a slog. They actively keep our conscious gauged, and like they do a good job of keeping us hooked in.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a very easy to watch 2 hours of television. Hey, Mac.
Shout out, Mac.
It's very easy to get through 2 hours of television. You're right. They jam a lot of match match time, exposition, interviews, everything. Like, they get a lot done in 2 hours. It's really impressive. Sometimes it kind of illustrates how much they can get done in 2 hours versus seemingly how little sometimes things get done in 3 hours on Raw. But,
Well, at 5 hours if you include SmackDown.
Yeah. But speaking of big things in the show, tonight's main event segment, NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez makes her way out to the ring to brag and gloat about beating every woman in her path. It does not matter who has been placed in front of her. She has beat them with flying collars. And, everyone's expecting Giulia to come out here and interrupt her. And that's not who we got. We got Chelsea Green. And Chelsea was out there making her case to be the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. Referred to Roxanne Perez as a fun-sized champ. I thought that was a pretty fun little line there. And, before they could really get going too much, they were interrupted by Giulia, who made her way coolly to the ring and just lays out Chelsea Green, just shellacks her, grabs a mic, looks Roxy in the face, and says that she'll see her at the CW. So big things coming. Obviously, we knew we were going to be getting Giulia versus Roxanne Perez. I'm hella excited for this. CJ, how'd you feel about tonight's main event segment? And how you feeling about Giulia and Roxy?
Well, and I do have to kind of take a step back here just to say, No Mercy, it sucked not being there to be on the rewind. I realize I should have phrased that much differently so that I didn't just connect the words No Mercy. It sucked because it phenomenal show, top to bottom. I was genuinely surprised but not surprised that they had Giulia debut. I was still pushing for it being Cora Jade, but with the CW debut, this is going to really draw in an audience for I would say specifically that Japanese market. They're really going to be tuning in if they can, or however they do. Obviously not on the CW, but no, I think this is going to be huge for the brand, and I think this is going to be a good introduction for Giulia to NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great. It's one of those, we say this a lot, but it's one of the things there's just a lot of buzz surrounding this. Folks have been anticipating her arrival here in NXT for a couple months now, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be very exciting. This is, I'm assuming for, howdy, Randy. I assume that this is for the 1st and not the 8th. Yes, yeah. And I want to say that Joseph kind of reiterated that or made that a little more clear as they were going off air. Okay. I believe he did. I think he did mention the All-State Arena specifically, which is the September, or sorry, the October 1st. Yeah, the Chicago show, the CM Punk show. Okay, because I'm wondering if we'll get to it a little bit later on, but that's not the only women's title match that was announced for October 1st. That on top of the other matches that have been announced and appearances by CM Punk, I'm assuming there's going to be more. Are we loading up? They're going to stack that. But are we loading up this show too much? Would it be better to have? Would it have been better to have Jordynne Grace on the 8th if you were going to do Giulia in Chicago? Both can exist, but I thought Grace was. I thought Jordynne Grace's open challenge was next week. I thought she. Oh, right, because that was WWE week on USA. Yeah. Right. Okay. One of only a few weeks where all 3 shows will be on one network. It's going to happen a few weeks in a row, and then it's never happening again, ever. Man, I saw a tweet from that WWE Creative Humor Twitter account that was like, every week could have been WWE week if USA Network just opened their wallet. They could have this all along. Oh yeah. Well, and it makes sense why WWE would want to go to Netflix and leave cable entirely, but it's also on USA for not
incentivizing them more, unless it was just kind of an open and shut discussion of, hey, we're going with Netflix because of the eventual consolidation of all your WWE is now on Netflix, which I feel like they wanted to do with Peacock, but Netflix probably just threw money at them until they said, okay, we're good.
Yeah. Money, an amount of money that begins with a B, like it's a lot of cash.
And ends with a cartoon sound effect.
Exactly. But I will say, in the loading up of the CW debut week, I do think it's important to make it feel big and special, but you want to walk that line where you don't want to make it so big and so special that the following weeks are a step down or feel less important.
Well, and I mean, like, I feel like we're gonna hit that point once we get past October 8th, anyways. Are we gonna see more arena shows, or is it these two and it's back to the Performance Center?
I don't know.
They haven't said.
They haven't, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to kind of use these as a little bit of a barometer, kind of test the water, see what kind of ticket sales they can get, in the larger venues, and the Performance Center holds with 300 and some change, but like I think that they could easily sell out, your 3,000 to 5,000 venues.
Oh, 100%.
Like I don't think that'd be a problem for NXT, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. I don't have numbers and spreadsheets and all this information in front of me. It's all speculation. I'm just a guy that likes NXT, and I'd like to see the tour, and I'd like to see them come up here to Ohio.
Ron, if you happen to have your Twitter open, can you take a look and see on I can't remember the name of the account, but the one that tracks ticket sales, and see what those two shows are at right now?
Oh gosh, is it WrestleTix?
Yes, WrestleTix. Matt Taven. Yeah, and CJ and Tyler content. Gotta love me and Tyler getting together. Shout out our Raw Rewind cohort, Caesar. Awesome.
Oh, fantastic. I was getting the old Twitter feed up there.
While John's working on that.
I completely fucked it up too.
You removed the WrestleTix, and
yeah, I tried to search WrestleTix, and it was much harder than it looked. Where's the little search thing? That's horrible.
On your right.
No, that's what it's supposed to have, like a search thing for the profile. You're supposed to be able to search within the profile. But anyway, I'll find it.
But CJ, while John is getting the ticket sales information there, shall we hop around to the start of tonight's program?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So tonight's NXT live from the Performance Center opened up with a recap of the No Mercy PLE. And from there went to Trick Williams being introduced. He made his way to the ring. He had his gear on, but it was apparent pretty quickly that it was not time for his match quite yet. He was there to call out Pete Dunne, and he said he was going to finish it. He didn't get Pete Dunne. He got All Ego Ethan Page. And Page came out and gloated and bragged and really just douched it up to Trick.
Does what Ethan Page does best.
Yeah, this is what Ego does. And reminded him that Trick, I won and retained. You raised my hand. It's solid promo work here.
So the first is just shy of 5,000, set up for 7,500. what does that percentage work out to? Like 45? No,
Oh, I was an English major. Math ain't my strong suit, brother.
I'd have to get a second look at the numbers. And St. Louis is about half.
Seems about right.
Yeah.
With 5,000 sold on that other show too. 3,100 in St. Louis. Very nice for NXT.
Now, when was this posted?
Yeah,
August
39.
31st. Okay, so it's still as of
Just
like
2 days ago, yeah.
well, yeah,
last
but I
week.
think that would mean like 7 days prior to the 31st.
Yeah, 7 days
So-
before that, so they had sold 100 tickets within the last week.
Wow. Does that sound lame
A
to
little
only
bit.
sell 100 tickets in a week?
A little bit, but only because the arena is so big. And we'll see how it ends up though. There's still a lot of time to go, and all they have to do
Got a
is
month.
kind of load up these NXTs and get people excited on the way to the event. And we'll see how it ends up. CM Punk is gonna be there. Randy Orton.
And more.
And more. Speaking of things that they're loading up for that first week, Ethan did say here that he will be defending his NXT championship on that October 1st CW debut show. While he was jawing at Trick was jumped from behind by Pete Dunne. I almost said Petey Williams. Good God, what year am I living in? But he's in attack, and that was the story of the night. Pete Dunne and Trick Williams attacking each other. It's the story of the night.
I love and Mac asked the question, why exactly is Pete attacking Trick? I genuinely don't know, and I don't know if NXT knows, because like they had an interview segment later on where like Sarah Schreiber asks Pete Dunne, like, you started this with I can't remember what the phrase was, but it still hasn't been clarified what he meant by that. We're like a month in now.
So the feud's happening because Pete Dunne's going to be a producer at NXT, and they're trying to get Trick's level raised here, and they want to work with somebody. I really don't know. Other than that, I don't have a clear, like, actual kayfabe answer as to why this is happening.
Well, and that's
honestly,
essentially what I was looking for. Like, they just haven't told us what the problem is, and it feels like they've tried to and just said, okay, whatever, like, you're accepting the answer that you get and we're moving on.
Is this a case of you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm thinking so. They did a lot of that, especially in the like late 10s, early 20s. Shout out Roman Reigns, but it worked out well for him. He's doing pretty okay for himself, I think.
He's done all right.
Yeah.
He's done all right.
They haven't announced him for either of the CW shows, though.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I
what'll
don't-
sell those last few thousand tickets is Roman
I
Reigns.
swear, if they're like tribal chief. Yeah.
The strict money.
This
Oh.
Kevin bracelet.
You know what?
Oh, man.
If it leads to a match between Pete Dunne, like if this last man standing match, spoiler alert, that they have coming up, is anything like the strap match at Bash at Berlin, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be fantastic.
I think that's pretty much
But,
all I had about the opening segment, anyways.
Sweet segment. All right. So from there, back in the backstage, ahead of the triple threat tag team match, we had Hank and Tank walking down the hall, getting themselves all fired up.
Tank.
Hell yeah, Hank and Tank.
Tank. Man, like
Uh,
I was edge of my seat that whole match, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Just as Hank and Tank, man.
No worries. Hank and Tank. Everyone knows how much we love Hank and Tank.
Oh yeah.
But they ran into Gallus back there and had a quick sparring of words ahead of the match. Now, before we get to the tag match, we did have another quick little backstage segment. Jada Parker arriving. She ran into Fatal Influence, and this set up for a match with her and Jasmine Nix for later tonight. That is going to take us into the triple threat match to determine the number one contenders for Fraxium's NXT tag titles. The Rascalz taking on Hank and Tank, taking on Gallus. Hell of a match. 10 minutes, 56 seconds. The Rascalz are the number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championship. CJ, what did you think of tonight's opening match?
My God, this match was just next level. Like, everybody was firing on all cylinders. There were a couple spots that looked like they might have had a minor miscommunication, but like that's the biggest fault in this match. Like, it was just absolutely incredible. As far as the result goes, if it wasn't Hank and Tank, I'm glad it's the Rascalz. I'm glad to see that they're still going to go ahead with the Rascalz without Wes Lee on NXT. But, of course, that being said, who knows where their story with Wes Lee is going. He wasn't there tonight.
No. Any chance you think he, spoils the title opportunity for them next week?
Oh, I imagine so. Unfortunately, but
unfortunately,
I would love to see just a straightforward one-on-one match between the two, even though I know there's going to be outside interference. Hopefully, at a later date, maybe if they go to Impact, they can run it back, but
yeah, it's gonna be awesome though. I'm looking forward to it. So for as long as the match gets to go before Wes ruins it, it's gonna be good though.
Yes, very very excited for this.
And speaking of the tag champs, after the match backstage, Sarah Schreiber was interviewing Axiom and Nathan Fraser. Fraxium, they called them Fraxium on air on No Mercy, so I'm doing it now.
Wait, sorry, who did?
Who called them Fraxium?
Yeah.
Zach.
Oh, wow.
I swear he called them I might have to run back. It was their interview after he beat Wes when they were backstage. I swear he called them Fraxium in that.
Well, I will. I'll have to go back too and see if I can. I didn't catch that.
And if that's the case, then I'm officially allowed to do it. But but Sarah was interviewed back there, and the Rascalz ran up into the interview and talked about how they will be winning those tag team championships next week and taking them back to TNA with them. Hella excited for next week's NXT already. We got some big matches on the card, but we'll get into next week's card a little bit more as we get through the show here. So back to the backstage again. We had Trick Williams. Did they say this interviewer's name? The guy interviewing Trick in this segment? Because I did not catch it if they did. And I feel bad about that because I like to kind of take note of that sort of thing.
Well, wasn't that, I'm blanking on his name. The guy that does commentary on Level Up with Byron.
Oh, shit! Was it Byron?
Well,
you can tell I don't
Well, no, it wasn't Byron. It was...
Byron, but...
yeah, I'm blanking on his name.
Blake
Howard, yes.
Because
they had the lower third show up a couple times, and they had him as a reporter.
Does Byron Saxon do commentary on Level Up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hey, when he doesn't have Corey Graves dogging him, he's a good commentator.
It's just interesting how, generally you work at a job, and if they deem you not good at it, they let you go, right? So it's just interesting to see how they let him fall down the ladder instead. Just an interesting observation.
I mean, I think
he's not bad on Level Up.
I think he's good.
Yeah, I mean, he is far from the worst commentator under their employ. I will say that.
I'm trying to find.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm trying to find a Hank and Tank T-shirt on the shop.com, and
I want the jersey. I want a Hank and Tank jersey. Yo, another Tyler. Tyler to Tyler. How you doing?
Where my CJ's at?
We need more CJs in here. So backstage, there was I don't know how I missed that being Blake, but he was talking to Trick, and he got attacked by Pete Dunne. Like I said, this happened multiple times throughout the night with him jumping one another. But hey, that's going to take us to our next match on the card. We have the television star, Lexis King, taking on the Metaphors Oro Menza, 1-on-1. This went about 4 minutes and 48 seconds before the television star, Lexis King, stole a win. Leverage pin, feet on the ropes, gets the 1, 2, 3, and then gets beaten and chased off by Oro Menza. That was kind of the last we saw of them tonight. Kind of thought they might follow up with that a little bit backstage at some point, but they didn't. So we'll probably get a little bit more of that going forward. This is kind of the formula that they do with Lexis King. He kind of gets a cheap win, builds a tiny bit of momentum, and then loses to that person 2 weeks later. So he will probably be losing to Oro Menza either next week or the week after.
I imagine that you're right. Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's rough go for the television star.
Do you think he's gonna be future endeavored?
I don't know. Like I say this almost every week. It's just like I hope that they have something a little more long-term planned for him, and it's just not time to quite get him there yet. Like that spot's just not quite open up, but like he's just spinning his wheels, and that's all he's really done since he's been there.
And that really is the problem. Like they just haven't done anything with him. Like why sign a guy? Is it just to keep him from AEW? Because they weren't really doing much with him either.
No, and I mean, to be fair, he's done more here than he did there. He's been on television much more. He's had many, many more matches. So I think he had a little like Twitter spar with a fan over that, where he basically like laid out how much more television time he's got in NXT versus his time in AEW. So like, I think they see something in him. I really believe they do, because he's consistently on television every week. Even if he's not wrestling, he's in some sort of segment. So I feel like they see something there.
Do you see it,
like,
Tyler?
There's something. It's just they haven't found it. I like him. Here's the thing. Part of it is I get attached to guys for emotional reasons. And it's like I ran into him a couple years ago at the HWA reunion show. He's a cool guy.
I get it.
Like, and it's just like I feel like he should be better than he is right now.
I agree, though. I've said that about him. I would say my journey as a Lexis King fan is interesting. When they put him on AEW Dark, I was so excited to see him grow, and they put him in the Varsity Blondes, and I was like a big fan of that with Giulia Hart. I thought she was perfect for them. She progressed and he didn't. And neither did Griff, but it was disappointing. So when he came to WWE, I was like, well, fuck, this might be it. Maybe it's that he needed a more I was gonna say stable, but it's not that it's stable. It's a more secure, structured environment for young wrestlers. And I guess it's gonna take more time, as I'm still not seeing it. What do you, CJ?
He would have found success by now if he was still Brian Pillman Jr.
No, I think because they would have had to put a character on him anyway. It's WWE. You gotta walk through the portal and come out the other side with a costume on.
Right, but I mean, is the problem that he's Lexis King and not Brian Pillman Jr.?
I don't think so. I mean, at least personally, I like. It took me a little time to get used to it, but I like the Lexis King name better. It's like he is Brian Pillman's son, but it's like it's I don't know. It's different. Like when it was Joe Hennick to this day, I still think Joe Hennig should have been Joe Hennig. But
it's not. We're not in the Michael McGillicuddy days, you know. Like I don't think Lexus King is not that bad of a name. And honestly, I think they would have booked him like this even if his name was Brian Pillman Jr. He's pretty much doing a lot of references. My dad did this, and I don't want to be my dad. And it's basically Brian Pillman Jr. They just gave him a name. I don't think it would have been that different.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's just I hope that they can get him there. It's almost like, you know, as folks watching know, you know, CJ, you and I cover Level Up. I feel like it would probably do him some good just to, you know, kind of go down to Level Up and dominate down there for a while.
Would it though?
You know,
I mean,
I think it
we're
would.
talking
Let
about
him be the damn gatekeeper.
And hey, nothing against Level Up. I love having a weekly chat with you about everything NXT, Level Up included, but NXT Level Up on Sundays. Check it out. But
Every Sunday.
It's still developmental. You know, I'm sure that there's a lot of people when they got sent down to, back down to NXT that it was kind of demoralizing a little bit to be like, hey, we're going to send you back to school. Imagine going from NXT down to Level Up and being like a staple on the remedial show.
What if they had him do both? Like, I want to get him more reps. You know, he needs more match opportunities. Like, the more matches he has, the better he's going to develop.
Right, and I mean, we see that often. Like, the D'Angelos are regularly on there, and you know, like regular
and Ofe and Blade.
Yeah, like NXT proper superstars already. But we still need to add some up-and-comers into the mix. So they would have to do it in like a rotation. Okay, so we're not using the family this month. We're going to go with Lexus King. But and yeah, like obviously you can play appearances between Level Up and NXT well off each other. You'd be like, hey, you know, tune in Fridays. Hey, you're tuning in Friday, tune in Tuesdays.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, little
I don't know. It still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and it doesn't even concern me.
I understand though. But excuse me, from King, actually speaking of, you know, regulars on the Level Up program, we had the family backstage, minus Tony D. He was not with them there. They were all hanging out and talking, and they were very quickly interrupted by Oba Femi, who apologized for so dominantly beating Tony D Sunday. Rizzo got in Femi's face, and Femi got kind of sexist here.
I know kind of about it. He's
incredibly misogynistic. God damn. So like Oba Femi's getting cheered pretty regularly and like pretty wildly, but Shawn Michaels seems bound and determined to get him booed.
Well, because that's the best role for him right now. Let him go on this absolutely destructive tear and just let him get the monster heel that doesn't come with a face heel turn every 3 weeks. Shout out Big Show.
I mean, this was like the most, he said that even I was like, he's been kind of straddled on that heel face lie, but he said that, I was like, jeezy, crazy, man. That's
a bit
much for the USA Network.
Well, I was going to say, like, imagine how CW would feel about it.
Oh, God. I mean, I guess at least they could be like, he's a bad guy, you know, bad guys say shitty things.
Yeah.
Gee.
He's like, he didn't say that's how he personally views women, just how his culture does. Oh, well, that's totally different.
Well, and actually, to be fair,
And it
he
can
said in many cultures. He didn't even say hit. So, like, no one can even say he's, like, vilifying.
Okay.
Yeah, he said in many. Yeah,
I
so
misremembered that then. Okay, I apologize.
They had him say something very derogatory, but they did it in the most general way they could. They're smart. I mean, you're talking about a multinational billion-dollar company here. They're going to have somebody say something dickish, but they're not going to get somebody canceled over it, you know?
No, that's true. Time for Obafemi to go to main roster soon? I don't think so. I think he's doing well in NXT, but I think that's because it's NXT. I think if you brought him up to the main roster right now, it would be a huge sink or swim moment, and I think there are a lot of guys on the roster that could make Obafemi look great, but the people that are going to be looking at him. They're going to know what's him and what's not. So he really needs to be on the top of his game, and I don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, I agree. And it's worth noting that as of yet, Oba hasn't really been put into positions to highlight, his weaker points. And there aren't many of them, but they are there. He's still very, very young and not very experienced. He's come a very, very long way in a super short amount of time. He's like 25 years old. We talk about just his ability in the ring, but just, his charisma, his ring presence, his ability on the mic. He's got a lot going for him, but he's only been put in situations that are built for him to succeed right now.
And I think, honestly, that's the best thing for him to be doing. Like I said, just be a monster heel, go on a tear, destroy everyone in your path, and run them over again for shits and giggles.
Yep. He's a beast. He is a beast. But this segment did set up for a match later tonight between the Ruler and Stax.
The underboss.
The underboss. Channing. I always call him Channing Tatum like half the time.
Channing Stax Tatum.
Channing Stax Tatum. But after that, back in the backstage, we had the No Quarter Catch crew hanging out. And Ren Sinclair was saying that Tavion will be back from Japan this week. So excited to see Tavion back on NXT television soon.
Definitely.
And Gallus walked into the scene screaming about their loss tonight. And once again, Ren Sinclair picking fights for Charlie Dempsey. She almost got Charlie into a fight with Gallus here tonight. It didn't quite happen that way. And Charlie did reprimand her and say, look, you can't just be throwing out these Heritage Cup opportunities to everybody. You have to make sure that they earn it. You got to let them plead their case. Tell them why they should get this shot. And, she took his talking points to heart. And we'll, see that a little bit later here tonight. But after that segment, we had our next match on the card. The spooky Tatum Paxley taking on the also very spooky Rosemary with the also very spooky Wendy Chu at her side. Fun match, a little short. I wish they'd given this one a little bit more time. But Tatum gets the win here in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. But that's not the end of the story. After the match, the numbers game caught up to her real quick. And, she just got beat down until Lyra Valkyria making her NXT return tonight to save her, former friend, but I guess friend again. Fantastic segment, big moment, very happy, lots of smiles. CJ, what'd you think of the match and the follow-up segment after?
Well, the match was great. I was even thinking, without realizing that the match had been announced, that I was like, I really hope they bring Rosemary back soon. She's an incredible wrestler. Also Canadian, just throwing that out there. And she was, when I was starting to get back into TNA wrestling, back when it was still Impact, Rosemary was one of the people that stood out to me most. And not just because of her character or her look, but because of how good she is in the ring. The match that she had with Kalani Jordan last week, I wish that had been as good as this match. Like, this was a much better introduction for anybody that didn't know who Rosemary was. This is the match to watch instead of Kalani's last week.
Yeah, this was a lot smoother. And, last week, and we talked about this a bit, like, I don't know, how much of that was Kalani, if there were any, jitters on Rosemary's end, being in a different environment, different sized ring.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
There's
like a lot of factors to consider for sure.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, I agree with you. This match was, it's a lot better. I hope to see more Rosemary on NXT. Even if she's not, picking up wins here, starting off, I'd still like to see her get that exposure. She's very, very talented.
100%.
But all right, so from there we were back in the backstage region. Actually, real quick,
why did that make it sound a lot dirtier than it needed to be? The backstage region.
Yeah, I guess I get tired of this backstage area.
No butthole talk.
There wasn't until you said it.
We were dancing around it.
As one
we are not
tends to
dancing
do.
around it.
Hey, you're the one that just straight up said butthole.
like that's far from the worst thing we've said on me.
Oh god.
But actually, before we hop back to the backstage region, Lyra Valkyria back on NXT television tonight.
Yes. I am kind of bummed, mostly because we had talked about how they were using her on Monday Night Raw. Like, she had so much momentum right after getting drafted and going to the finals of the Queen of the Ring, and then she starts teaming with Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, seemingly just because they needed something for her to do, and it killed so much momentum that she had. They just couldn't do her momentum justice. And I really hope that this isn't a permanent demotion to NXT. But even if it's just for now, realigning her with Tatum Paxley is a great idea. They can reestablish Tatum Paxley as a face now. She has been, but obviously this just really confirms it. So I'm excited to see what they do while she's down there, because this segment that they had backstage does make it sound like it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, at least some sort of team tag program with probably Rosemary and Shu, I imagine. So we are going to get some more Rosemary.
Well, and but long term, is it just going to be till the end of this program, and then whenever Tatum Paxley moves on to something else, then Lyra goes back up to main roster?
Well, you had said that her being put with Carter and Chance kind of felt like it's just like, well, we need something for you to do. This could be kind of in that vein too. And if it's going to be like that, if you're just going to like shove her into a kind of a random program, I'd rather it be on NXT than on the main roster. Like, do this program, give her some time off of the main roster TV, and then put her back up there after this program. Then you can reestablish her and hopefully, rebuild that momentum that she had on her initial debut up there, and then keep her the hell away from Carter and Chance.
All right. Yeah, I can get behind that.
I don't know. I like Lyra. I talk about this a lot. She's just so good, and her run just stagnated so quickly up on the main roster.
Like, she managed to get the audience on her side very quickly. You know, like when we have talked about the difference between performing in the NXT arena and performing in front of a Raw or SmackDown crowd, for them to pick up on some of the NXT-isms, like nobody does the part of Carter and Chance's theme anymore.
Right.
And like even just but you know, like they do the woos for Lyra's theme. And they picked up on that within like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep. It's just she's I don't know, like I'm not gonna say that Carter and Chance aren't charismatic, but just I don't know, there's just maybe something just a little more engaging for the audience with Lyra. I don't know, but you're right, like they stopped doing the interesting interaction with Carter and Chance very quickly, and you know, Lyra built that up very quickly for it. But I know we'll see what they can do with her. As if they can give Mimi, you know, give her a little break from the main roster here, work this program in NXT, then hop her back up there, and you know, hopefully that that you know can correct her course, you know. But
I'm still hoping they fix Shayna Baszler's course. So hopefully this Pure Fusion collective is a step in that direction.
Right. Hey, so far so good on there, but so from there back to, I'm going to say it again, the backstage region. Sarah Schreiber was speaking with Pete Dunne and Trick Williams attacked him. As said, this was the story of the night. As they're being pulled apart again, Ava ordered them to the ring that they would have this match right now as opposed to in the main event slot as originally planned. So right before they went out there for the match, Jordynne Grace, they played a segment of her from social media announcing that next week with WWE Week, to make it even bigger, she would be issuing an open challenge on NXT for her Knockouts Championship. That'll be exciting. You know, and so again, the TNA NXT partnership continues to roll on.
I don't know really how to weigh in on the Odyssey Jones stuff. Like, Tyler, we talked about, you know, just how good it was to see him on TV and the positive image that he was portraying, to be accused of that. Like, I'm gutted, man.
Yeah, like I said, it's a developing story, and you know, we'll kind of see what unfolds as it does. You know, it's going to be a minute, but you know, WWE, they're swift to take action on these sort of things. You know, and really, I don't even say it's WWE. It's TKO. You know, it's a whole different parent company now, and they're not going to take chances. And also, I don't think they're going to unceremoniously can someone if they don't feel there's reason to do so, because that's also backlash for them.
But I mean,
and you know,
like I get that they'd probably still be gun shy in the wake of all the Vince McMahon stuff, and especially with the Netflix doc coming out. But I agree that they made the right decision to cut ties. They need to, you know, I had a train of thought and completely lost it. Long and short of it is, believe all victims, and I'm getting off my soapbox now.
Yeah, so hopping back into NXT this evening, from the Jordynne Grace announcement, we went into Trick Williams and Pete Dunne. No real ring entrances here. Went straight into a brawl before the ring. So brawling again. nonstop here tonight with the brawling. This did lead into the match, and it was just hard hitting, aggressive, fantastic. Went off the barricade, through the table, fought to a double count out around 11 and a half minutes. And then you know what happened after that?
They kept on.
Would you believe
fighting.
they brawled more? They just kept fighting. The Energizer Bunnies of professional wrestling tonight. Kept going and going and going. And yeah, as CJ, you said earlier, they announced a little bit later from here that they will be having another match next week. And
last man
standing. Last man, it's great. Like, this has been a fun, like, again, we don't really have a great reason for it, but it's been a good program. Reason or not, it's interesting because, like, this is letting Shrek, I think, show a different level, a higher level of aggression in this.
Well, and I mean, we've talked about how NXT gets to do a little bit more, not risque, but stuff that Raw and SmackDown wouldn't really get to. And I feel like that's the kind of edge that is going to work well on the main roster when they go to Netflix. If that's the kind of product that the CW wants, then, you know, Trick's going to deliver that in spades. I think that this last man standing match is going to be insane if it's anything like their match tonight. Like, that finish, like the double count out after going through the table, and like I was hooked every single second. And then I started agreeing with the fans when they started chanting "Ref, you suck." Like,
yeah,
just don't end the match. Like, you know, your discretion. Let them keep going, even if they go through a table. But this last man standing match is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I thought this was great, and it was a good match, and obviously served as a fantastic prelude for this last man standing match that we're going to get next week. The crowd was hot into this. Whoop that butch, probably the chant of the night. Fantastic. Absolutely thought this delivered on, you know, every angle they wanted it to. Just great segment from start to finish here. Looking forward to that last man standing match next week.
And you know what? Talking about chants, shout out to the opening segment when Ethan Page came out and the crowd started singing Joe Hendry's song at him.
Yeah. And this, without it being on the Tron.
Yeah.
Like, they just did it.
He being Ethan Page, like, he's talking and the crowd is just singing over him. And it just really goes to show that Joe Hendry and the powers that he has to connect with the audience is huge. And if he does make the full-time jump to NXT, that'll be a huge get for him, or for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. And, you know, it's, you know, even not being on television night, his presence was felt. The audience was, you know, obviously thinking of him. It's huge. And again, the fact that they sang it without any prompting or like having the lyrics in front of them.
Well, I mean, it's a short enough song. You can memorize the lyrics pretty easy. But
that's true. But this is a wrestling audience, DJ.
And I feel like this is going to continue until Joe Hendry gets another title match. Yep.
We will definitely, I agree with you. I think we'll definitely be building back towards Ethan Hendry 2.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This was also the match that Ava said was for number one contendership too, right? Like, winner goes on to face Ethan Page October 1st.
I missed that entirely somehow. I don't know how I did not hear that at all.
I couldn't remember if it was this match or if it was a different one. I felt like it was this one, though.
Well, if it was this one, I guess, maybe we'll have a conclusive winner next week then, because obviously, it was the double count here, but.
I thought it was when Ava announced the last man standing match.
Let's see here. Well, CJ, while you are grabbing.
As for Fightful, Trick Williams to face Pete Dunne in Last Man Standing match on 9/10 NXT. Winner faces Ethan Page for NXT title.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's see what happens there. I mean, you'd assume it would be Trick moving forward, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, it would make sense putting. It wouldn't make sense putting heel versus heel for Ethan Page. Like it'd be a good match.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah.
Not right now. Not this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, last man standing. I'm anticipating is going to be Trick Williams, and moving on to face Ethan Page
on the 1st of October. But so after the Trick and Dunne match and segment, we had a pre-taped interview with Ridge Holland, the dastardly, awful, horrid, just despicable human being. Ugh, Ridge Holland. But he was explaining, kind of why he did what he did, why he attacked Andre, why he put him in the hospital. He's gone full tilt heel. I mean, it worked. I hate him.
Mm-hmm.
So there we are.
This is what I'm going to start pointing to when I talk about long-term storytelling being done well. Because I remember on our Level Up adventure on Sunday, you said, like, this was a feeling that you had because he hadn't done anything dastardly in a while. But
it's been too long.
But that's it. Like, that was what they were building to. The fact that he was ostracized by Duke and Riley. And to look at it then and think, oh, they're going to turn heel and they're going to be the ones that break up Chase U. No, this heel turn for Ridge Holland was just always part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. Like, this is awesome storytelling.
So well. Yeah, it's great, and I look forward to Chase U eventually stopping Ridge Holland. I hope. And he did say that the destruction of Chase U begins next week, and he told Thea Hale that he's gonna love every second of it.
It's
fucking Ridge Holland.
Yeah, like I love this version of Ridge Holland. NXT has really done well for him, and like I'm genuinely invested, and not just because it's Chase U, it's because it's also Ridge Holland. Also, shout out to that beard. Like, we talk about Lexis King's facial hair mostly because it looks fake, but that is like a decently manicured beard. Well done.
On Level Up, they called Cale Dixon follically gifted, but I think Ridge Holland is follically gifted as well.
Well, different location of the follicles.
Different set of follicles.
Yeah. I'm both follically gifted and follically challenged at the same time.
Yeah. So, the follicles land where they will. But
on my pillow.
But hell.
No, that's okay.
But backstage in the, I guess, kind of hall region there, Brooks Jensen was walking along, and Sean Spears in a sling caught up to him, and he thanked him profusely for helping him out and getting revenge for him, and he appreciates him.
Kind of made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was weird. Like it's clearly. I mean, I shouldn't say clearly, but like it's a manipulation tactic.
Well, and that's what got shouted out by. I kept wanting to call him Percy Watson, Dion Lennox.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, like
I wonder
exactly
these days, where is Showtime Percy Watson? It's the glasses. It really is the glasses that do it. But yeah, he was, which is cool that he's been
style hair.
I lost it. Hold on.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it went all wonky there.
Yeah,
for a second.
I might have to get a new mic. Like this is not working as well for me. But I think that they. Fuck, I don't even remember what we were talking about now. Yeah, push Javon Evans. Hell yeah, I'm into that.
You're talking about Brooks and Spears.
Oh yeah, right. Definitely manipulation, and of course that's what Dion Lennox said as much afterwards. Is this like kind of along the same lines of Chad Gable and Otis of manipulation? Like you remember the early heel Chad Gable was a lot more manipulative, and I think, yeah, like Max said it, bros being gaslit. It wasn't what I pictured for Sean Spears when he came back to NXT. Is it working? Do you think?
I think it's starting to.
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah. Like I've said this a couple times before, but I am invested in this version of Brooks Jensen's character, and I'm finally getting invested in what they're doing with Sean Spears. This pairing in particular, there's something about this that works. And the inevitable day when Brooks snaps out of this and rights the wrongs and goes after Spears, it's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to this story as it continues and unfolds and gets deeper. And two, this was an opportunity for some Dion Lennox on NXT propers.
Do you think this? I mean, I'm assuming this is going to lead to a one-on-one match, if not next week. I guess after the arena shows. It'll probably be next week.
Yeah, probably. I'd say so.
Bro is definitely being gaslit.
Very gaslit. But from there, talking into the guy that Max says we should be pushing, we've got the young OG, the bouncy one, Javon Evans, taking on Joe Coffey of Gallus. Quick match here. Javon Evans gets the win in 2 minutes and 33 seconds after Cedric Alexander made his way down to the ring to kind of even the odds against Wolfgang and Mark there. Fantastic, quick match here. Javon Evans continues to impress every week.
100%. He is definitely one to watch. He's only going to get better. This is as bad as he's ever going to be, and he's already fantastic.
Yep.
So I'm definitely on the Javon Evans train. And Cedric Alexander kind of shifting to aligning with Javon Evans. Obviously, that's the nail in the coffin for him and Ashante the Adonis, if it wasn't already hammered home. But yeah,
thinking we'll probably get a tag match with Cedric and Javon against two of members of Gallus.
As long as it's only temporary.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a permanent tag thing. I think just real quick little, you got involved, so tag it out.
Well, hopefully. But I mean, they don't seem to be doing much else with Cedric right now, and if this turns into a success, they might just say, okay, well, we'll put you in the tag team division for a while.
It's certainly possible, but we'll see what happens with this. It could be something pretty nice. Well, you never know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah, but from Evans and Coffee, we went to the women's locker room where Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley were having a little chat. And, this was a nice little moment here, kind of rekindling of the friendship. And Lyra said that they will go show those weird girls just how weird Tatum is. And then they hugged.
That was a great line. It's so odd couple. And that's what I loved about their pairing in NXT the first time. And what I love about them reuniting now. As long as they do Lyra justice.
Yeah. Yep, that's as long as they do right by her in the long run here. I'm good with it. Hey, Logan.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm excited for at least the short term here of this pairing. It's cute, it's fun, and it'll be a fun, few matches they probably get out of this.
Oh, for sure.
But from there, we had the segment we talked about just a little bit ago where Sarah Schreiber was talking to Ava about the Pete Dunne and Trick Williams situation. Of course, needing a winner. They'll have the last man standing match next week. And CJ, as you said, that will determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship. So the next match on the card, we had Channing Stacks Lorenzo Tatum taking on Obafemi, non-title match. Obafemi, dominant victory here in 4.5 minutes, as to be expected. I think.
Oh, definitely as expected. Yeah. I mean, as soon as the Don was like, the underboss is going to handle it, I'm like, no, he ain't.
No, he's not.
And I mean, the look that D'Angelo had after the match, I couldn't tell if that was disappointment in the situation or specifically disappointment in Stacks.
No one knows what it's like to be the sad man.
Oh. Wait, is he starting to get despondent? Is the loss of the Heritage Cup finally starting to catch up?
Oh man, if they went back to that storyline, I would love that so much. But no, I don't think it's a Heritage Cup thing. I think it's just not being able to get a win over Obafemi, and we'll see what that does to the state of the family.
If this is going to be played as more disappointment in Stacks, do you think this could be that first little kind of lean to the family going back heel?
Either the family or Tony.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about whether Tony is ready for the main roster versus whether the family is ready for the main roster. And I think either it's sink or swim on a full singles run for Tony, or they turn the whole family and get them ready for the main roster.
They could potentially send Tony up by himself if they had an idea for it, and then Stacks could take over the family on NXT, go from underboss to boss. But
then how do you reconcile that when the rest of the family hits the main roster?
Yeah, because they don't really link stories from NXT to the main. So
yeah.
So it definitely feels like it's something. Like they're planning something here.
Oh, definitely. Sure. But whatever it is, we'll just have to wait and see.
Exactly. Well, HBK's got it working. He's got it cooking. But after that, we had our our weekly Ashante Adonis segment. Brindley Reese and Petrovic were back there talking about Idris getting hurt. They were approached by Ashante. He gave a rose to Brindley and said that he could be a shoulder to cry on. Eddie Thorpe walked up in this, and he called him DJ Platonic, which I thought was a pretty funny thing.
Because he has female friends.
Exactly. Which just completely confounds Ashante.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something we'll be getting a match with him and Thorpe here coming up in the near future.
Well, I imagine so. Probably another one like we were talking about that just gets pushed into next week. They get 3.5 minutes so that they can wrap up whatever they need to wrap up before hopping over to the CW.
Yep. Exactly. All right. So in the backstage again, Javon Evans was chatting with Ren Sinclair, and Javon was making his case to get a Heritage Cup shot, and Ren agreed with him, and Ren told him to go set it up, and Charlie's not too happy with this, and he's also not too happy with Miles, who apparently was just like hanging out listening to his ear pods there.
Which was honestly the funniest part of this whole bit for me was Miles Bourne just there, oblivious to the whole thing. But it's like a great part to the part one earlier, because I mean she did exactly what you told her to do. She considered, she listened, she made the decision, and she paused on the decision, and then she granted the title opportunity. She followed your instruction to the letter.
Yeah, and she exactly. She did exactly what Charlie Dempsey wanted her to do, and I love when Miles took his headphones out. He's like, "Hey, what happened?" And Ren Sinclair's response is, "Javon Evans thinks I'm cool."
Oh, best button on that promo, just wonderful.
Ren Sinclair's timing is really good, and no disrespect to Miles or Charlie, but right now I think Ren Sinclair might be the best promo in the No Quarter Catch crew.
I'd say so for sure. Definitely.
She's just so damn entertaining.
Definitely
so much fun.
The star in the group for sure right now.
Yeah. And it's her interplay with everyone. It's just so much fun and just like that, just flat out entertaining. You love it. But a lot of fun there. But our main event, what ended up being our main event, because it was originally supposed to be Trick and Pete Dunne. I almost said Pete Williams again. What the hell? We had Jada Parker taking on Jasmine Nix of the Fatal Influence. Good solid work here from both women. Jada Parker gets the win in 4 minutes and 39 seconds. And then gets the crap kicked out of her by the Fatal Influence.
Who could have seen that coming?
Right? Babyface gets involved with the heel stable and doesn't bring any friends.
Yeah. But also, coming out without OTM, too.
Yeah.
Are they still together? Or, she still came out to OTM graphics and music, but are they still a unit?
I think so, but that's interesting though that they weren't with her at all, because even when they wouldn't be with her at ringside, they typically would at least walk to the top of the ramp with her, and then she would continue on her way. Maybe they are going to try to start to distance her from OTM. I mean, she's bigger than OTM.
Oh, 100%. And unfortunately, they didn't even really get big until she joined them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to separate from her because she's taking off by herself, what does that mean for their future?
I don't think it means great things, honestly.
Well, Well, hey, they were on. Was that Level Up this past week? They were chatting up Hank and Tank.
Yeah. So I mean, at least maybe that's going to be it too. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of like kind of character rehab time for them.
Could be. Which is unfortunate when you've only been on the roster for what, a year?
Yeah, it's been a bumpy go for them. They haven't really been able to get that traction, and the most traction they have gotten has been because of Jacob Parker.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see what they do. They may still, if they ran with OTM as a face stable, with just that sort of street edge that Jada Parker presents, like, would that be a better use for OTM that still keeps Jada Parker attached and gives them, I don't even know if I'm asking the question right, but like, it feels like they can't stand on their own.
No, I really don't think they can. And the issue is, even with her association, they're not racking up wins. And there comes a point where her being affiliated with a pair of losers isn't going to do her any favors.
No, unfortunately. But she is still carrying a lot of momentum on her own. So at least for right now, let's count our blessings on that.
Yeah. But so that was the last match on the card we were covering tonight. Real quick, already announced for next week. As we said earlier, we've got the last man standing match with Trick Williams and Pete Dunne to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship. The NXT Tag Team Championships will be on the line when Axiom and Nathan Fraser, a.k.a. Fraxium, take on TNA's The Rascalz. That's going to be a hell of a match. Charlie Dempsey and Javon Evans for the Heritage Cup. Jordan Grace with an open challenge for the Knockouts Championship. And Ridge Holland will be taking on Duke Hudson one-on-one as he attempts to begin his destruction of Chase U. So a big card coming together already for next week. Pretty fantastic episode of NXT this evening. Great follow-up to a great PLE in No Mercy. CJ, brother, before we hop into tonight's Jobbers and Megastars of the Night, was there anything on tonight's NXT that we have not touched on that you wanted to discuss?
No, I think that pretty much does it. Just got to take care of the regular old business. Use promo code DSR10 on monk.com and get 10% off your diffusers, your essential oil diffusers. Also, check us out on Delphin Pod, available everywhere you find your podcasts. Comicbookclick.com, of course, / Dirt Sheet Radio, your hub of everything comic book and entertainment, wrestling. Guess the Major Issue Show every Thursday and the Cold Case Project on YouTube. Shop DSR on our Shopify store and help support the show.
Hell yes. But yeah, folks, that's going to take us into one of the most beloved segments of the Dirt Sheet Radio Rewinds. It is time for tonight's Jobber of the Night, September the 3rd, 2024, NXT Jobber of the Night. CJ, who do you have scraping the bottom of the barrel this evening?
It's tough. Like, it's another one of those weeks where I can't really fault anyone who lost a match. Like if it was outside interference, then I guess anybody could have been like, oh, well, just don't get distracted next time. So I'm going to say my Jobber of the Night is whoever was the person who told Shawn Michaels that they didn't need Joe Hendry tonight. I think that's I almost blame Shawn Michaels, but then I'm just like, no, he booked the rest of the show, so he gets a pass. So I had to pass the buck on to unnamed intern number 17. Fuck you, unpaid intern number 17. You robbed us all of the chance to see some more Hendry.
Agreed. So I'm also, this is kind of a more of a jokey one. Firstly, I'll say it's IKEA for not getting my couch delivered today, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, they got 40% delivered.
Right? Yeah. Thanks, guys. But in the scope of NXT, I'm going to say it's NXT security. Like Trick Williams and Pete Dunne being allowed to get to one another 4 separate times tonight. That's just inexcusable. The working environment at the Performance Center is just it's just unquestionably the most dangerous spot in the United States. It's just wild. The parking lot's unsafe, the arena's unsafe, backstage is unsafe, ringside's there is no safe place in the Performance Center. So you failed, security. Do better.
You think?
You know, this shit wasn't happening when Tank was security. Wait, was it Tank or Hank?
Hank was security.
Hank. It was Hank. Okay. That shit wasn't happening when Hank was in security.
Let's go, Hank. Let's go, Tank.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a failure of leadership?
In Ava?
Yeah. I mean, she needs to organize security better. She needs to start doling out punishments for Trick and Pete for scrapping all the time. And, you know, like, there might be some truth to Ethan Page being like, oh, you're kind of not doing a good job. Like, maybe it is all Eva's fault.
I mean, she's doing a better job than Booker T did in his short stint as NXT General Manager.
How dare you remind me of that?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, man. But yeah, so that is the jobbers of the night, which will transition us into the much more elated, much more celebrated megastar of the night, CJ.
No, I went first on the last one. You take this one.
Okay, fine. All right. So this is, again, you know, as difficult as it was to find someone to be the jobber of the night for this evening's program, it's even more difficult for me to center in on one person as the megastar tonight. Like I said, like, everyone did so well. Everyone, like, they were firing on all cylinders. They served their purpose. I'm torn. Look, it's either Giulia or the Rascalz for me tonight. It's one of those two, and I really don't know which one to come down on. But like, just the aura and presence of Giulia, saying so little and just doing so little in the ring tonight, but it accomplished so much and showed so much of who she is and what makes her tick as a character and what she's about. Brilliantly done. And for the Rascalz, just fuck yeah. NXT tag title shot next week. TNA wrestlers on NXT television. It's just great. So that's it. It's split. It's split for them. That's
fair. I was actually going to narrow it down to either of your choices as well. But I think instead I'm going to go with Tatum Paxley. She had a hell of a match tonight, and we talk about how good she is, how like dialed into her character Tatum Paxley is, and she just nails it every single week. This match tonight was fantastic, so she's my megastar.
I'm never going to argue with you regarding praising Tatum Paxley's work.
You could have just left it at I'm never going to argue with you.
I can. I mean, it's rare that I do. Really, we rarely disagree majorly with things. But great choice, fantastic, and I agree. I agree. But hey, you know, to all the folks out there that are tuning in live, or maybe you're not live, maybe you're watching tomorrow, the next day after that. I don't know. But everyone watching, live or otherwise, I've got some news for you. And I think you might know this. You might not be surprised about it, but nonetheless, we're not just here for NXT on Tuesday nights. Wrestling never stops, and Dirt Sheet Radio is always on. We are here every night. We are here Mondays for Raw. Obviously, we're here Tuesday nights for NXT. We're doing that right now. Wednesday nights, you know what that means? It's AEW Dynamite. Thursdays are sibling program, TNA Impact. Fridays are built for SmackDown. Now, if you're around on Sundays and you want to listen to CJ and I break down and discuss what's going on at Developmental's Developmental, and then also talking some NXT proper and always hitting a deep dive topic, tune in to CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure this Sunday and every Sunday. We're usually going live sometime between 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and we always have a good time breaking down developmental and deep diving into NXT topics that we just don't have time to cover on a Rewind show. And also, if you're up really late on Wednesdays, like after the Dynamite recap happens, check out the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship program every Wednesday night. But if you're like me and you don't want to stay up that late, just check it out Thursday morning when it's posted. Also on Sundays, it's not just me and CJ doing something. 3NT every single Sunday live. Check the guys out with the crispest graphic in all of professional wrestling. There are so many pixels in that bad boy. But check the guys out every single Sunday. Hell of a time tonight. Great episode of NXT. Hey, CJ, tell the fine folks where they can find you on the net and where they'll see you next.
Well, you can always find me at CJ Carter22 on Twitter. I will be here every Tuesday for NXT, every Friday for SmackDown, Mondays when I can make it, and of course, Sundays, rain or shine, CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure. Spoiler alert, you're really going to want to tune in to the deep dive that Tyler and I do this week.
It's going to be a good time, guys. So absolutely check it out. We have a good time every week. And and I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, and this here is Molly, the long-haired chihuahua. And I'm here every Tuesday night doing NXT. Usually Monday nights Raw. I'm usually here Monday nights for Raw. Life's been life in those, so I've unfortunately been missing that lately. Probably going to miss another week or two of that. But and then Sundays, CJ and Tyler's Level Up Adventure, and PLEs when I can make it in. Definitely the NXT wins WWE shows when I can make it in there. And I am on the socials. The Pro Wrestling Hipster over on Facebook is where you see me do most things. I am on the Twitter. I am on the Instagram. It's at PW Hipster, but I don't.
Is Molly on the Twitter?
Molly is not on Twitter, but I am very much considering getting Molly an Instagram, though. I think she would do better than I do on it.
I agree.
Yeah, she's a sweet little thing. I mean, just look at that face. Look at her. It's hard not to love something like this. I know. She's like just 7 pounds of adorableness.
Tune in for the wrestling, stay for the dogs.
That's it. People comment about her. She's a popular little thing.
There you go.
And just wait as Halloween approaches and you start seeing her in costumes.
Oh my gosh! Yes, so, start that Instagram right before Halloween.
Yeah. That should be the official launch. But y'all, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it as always. And hey, we'll be back live tomorrow night for Dynamite. We'll see you then.